Already Tracy challenged the deposit, allowing Armera Arsenal less health and Aegis Academy. It's less health, and that's generally not a great thing because snipers become immediately far more terrifying. Since generally we can't really survive a shot with them, or at least we really can't realistically survive a shot with them. But we could always just go through here, awkwardly wait a bit so that the civilian over there can get a bit closer so that we can just hostage him. If you're not doing that, hi there, you don't notice anything, and you're just gonna get on the ground so that we could just go through here, which... Hi there, guard. Not really ideal, but you know what, we'll survive. Or something, I suppose. I mean, generally what we don't want is... We're gonna first of all start by intercepting that guard and taking care of them, because I do need to heal up so that we can actually carry everything that we need, which I would consider quite important. But then we're gonna hit a breaching charge, we're gonna go through here, we're gonna grab a thermite, we're gonna grab a drill, and then we're just gonna intercept any guards that come out, or actually civilians in this case. But we're just gonna ignore if it's cyber, because we generally do not want to stop cyber from actually going outside to grab some thermite. Aside from that, there's Armera Arsenal, which doesn't really matter at all, other than a really heavy saw blade, and the fact that ideally we have some slightly better weapons for less health. But in this Aegis Academy, which, once again, doesn't really matter all that much, unless we want to consider less health, where, in that case, it'll be slightly more complicated, but generally, we won't have to worry about the Aegis units until we're escaping, and that's generally not done with that much care anyway, so we're just gonna search the archives, even though Cyber has already gotten the intel that we need, so we're just going to ignore that. We're gonna run through here, and then we're just gonna... Why? No, just why? And then we're just gonna ignore that. Sit over here, move the mech over there so that we can keep the intel in our inventory, and then it's just a matter of waiting for that to complete, which... We're also gonna break the window so that we can take a slightly shorter route, even though it doesn't really matter all that much, but... Then again, time is time, and the fastest time we can get there planting a thermite... You know what, sure. I'll take a keycard, right then. So now that we have an absolutely useless keycard that we don't really need unless we're planning on going to the basement to defend, which... isn't really all that viable. No, I do not want a second keycard. Which isn't really all that viable unless we've got a sniper. So we're just going to not do that. It's really not all that complicated. So that should be done relatively soon. We're just going to go through right here. We're going to go through here, and then afterwards we're just going to drill it open, which isn't all that complicated. We're going to get it open, we're going to grab the stash, and then we're just going to get out of here. It's not that complicated. It really isn't. So we're just going to go over here, grab the saw blade, realize that the keycard messed up with our inventory, which I find highly disappointing, but we're just gonna go over here, we're gonna get a saw blade out, and well, everyone's gonna run because everyone's dying from the thermite, but that's alright. Somewhat. And we're just gonna wait for the presumably 200 Aegis units to show up, which I'm not all that terrified about, since we've got, let's just say, 400 bullets or so in our saw blades, and then another 200 bullets or so in our MM20, which sums up to around 600 bullets, which generally means that we can shoot without much care, and if we just throw 100 bullets down into an Aegis unit, things generally won't be all that difficult, which seems like a generally valid rule. So we're just gonna wait over here, and it's really just a matter of defending for a bit. And then not dying for a bit, since it is still indeed less health, which is once again not all that great for not dying, but we're just gonna clear it up, avoid a flashbang, and even though I would love to say I could actually get some CBRCs right now, I don't actually have any ammunition, and well, right now would be a great time to have a lot of ammunition. I would still want an FI7 though, which it's a shame that that isn't one, because that would be, well, it's despawn, and it's a shotgun, so we're just going to go over here, we're going to clear that, and well, we're just going to... So Cyber's running, which is great and all, except for the part that ideally Cyber isn't running, so we're just going to heal up over here awkwardly, drop the bag, hop over that, and then go through here, which It's a relatively simple way of doing it, even though I could probably have waited a bit longer for them to reload. And then we're just gonna get out of here, and that's the daily challenge done in just under 5 minutes. It's less health, that was terribly uncoordinated, but we're still alive, so that, well, regardless, cheers everyone, have a great time.